Good morning, global family. Happy Friday. Oh my gosh, it is an amazing day here in Tampa, Florida. I'm down by the water while Skylar does her speech therapy and talks about her world, talks about her day. Oops, let me get rid of something here on the computer. But look at what a spectacular day. It's sunny, it's beautiful, big poofy clouds, just the way I like it. I knew it was going to be a fantastic morning because as I was driving over here to therapy, we're just about to go over the bridge and I look to my left and there is this beautiful, beautiful old home with this expansive lime green, vibrant yard next to it. One of those kind of metal gates around it so you could see through. And I look in and there, only thing you could see on this lawn was this spectacular white dog on his back, and he's rolling and he's just basking, savoring in what it's an absolutely perfect day. So I would put out a challenge and say, make today be a roll in the grass basking day for all of us. Yes? So Skylar and I had an idea. I want to really give back to all of you. We so appreciate all the love and everything that has come our way. And as many of you know by now, one big passionate thing for me, and I believe is a huge contributing fact to myself and to Skylar and to the other two children of mine, and Skylar not just now after on this particular leg of our journey, but even before the boulder, it was a really critical piece of why Skylar was who she was. So briefly, I started out very, very much with very thick rose-colored glasses. In fact, they probably could be considered goggles at that point. Huge dreams, and one of my big quests was how to find the secret of happiness and then how to share it with everybody else in the world. Pay no attention to the fact that Plato and Hobbes, back to the beginning of time, man has been trying to solve this particular little challenge. But I was undaunted and went out there. Well, needless to say, the more I seemed to look for happiness, the more I felt like I was getting slapped in the face. And won't go into all of the details, but at the point when I had so much anxiety and so many panic attacks that I couldn't drive on the highway, I decided I have to do something about this. So ironically enough, about that time, I went into a bookstore. I was trying to divert myself by reading what I call my little dragon books that were all about good and bad and evil and purging all the bad from the world. And lo and behold, off the shelf of the book, completely in the wrong place, dropped a book called Ask and It Is Given. Some of you may know that title by Abraham / Esther Esther Hicks. It became a pivotal book for me. I opened it in mid-book and started reading some of her processes and techniques. And so for the last, I think probably about 15 years, I've been a student of what I call mindset. So some of it has been kind of the theory and the strategies that Esther Hicks and that whole school of thought has been teaching. But a lot of it has also been the perspective and telling our own stories and all that kind of thing that I won't go into detail too much here for. But I would like to share it. Because Skylar and I were talking in the car today, and I asked her if she could remember the day. I was telling her, we were talking about how far she's come and how exciting it is. This week, she officially has stopped taking naps. Those 4-hour, 3-hour naps, gone, history. And so we were musing about how magnificent each step of the journey is and how often it's a surprise. Just when you think you're not accomplishing anything, boom, out of the blue comes something huge like this for us. And so I asked her if she could remember the day when she could not even really sit up, and when she was so exhausted and she was an inpatient still yet in rehab, and she was doing many, many hours a day, and she was miserable, but she pushed through it. And interestingly enough, she said she doesn't really remember that. And we mused a little bit further, and I said, isn't it kind of cool? It's a gift how your mind you remember the important things, and often the important things are details of what you need to do today. Are you going to wear socks? Are you going to, what do you have to look forward to, not what you've battled through in your life. And so I think that's hugely, hugely, hugely important. So how does this relate to the gift? So we want to give back to various segments of you, but there are different points that we all are in our life. So I want to start with the millennials. So if you are a millennial, or if you know a millennial in your life, I would like to invite you to share an hour via webinar with me this coming Thursday on the 20th. And I'll tell you why. I don't know if you've really thought about it, but if you look at your generation, never before in history has your generation, even financially, produced the volume of millionaires. So never has this age demographic produced as many millionaires. And so that's like a functional monetary aspect. But even Yale does a study apparently of the 16-year-old brain every 40 years. This time they did the study on the 16-year-old brain, it was for the first time since they started doing this, firing differently. There were different parts of the brain active, showing that you truly, genuinely are different than my generation was, and then some of the generations before. You genuinely can multitask, and you have such incredible potential. Therefore, it is even more important that you don't just go down the same mental path that our generations have. You guys dream really big. You want to make a real huge impact. And of course, you, at the same time, you want to be happy and this. So it's really important that a lot of the really bad mental habits that we all just kind of do by default, because nothing else is taught to us in school, is gotten rid of. And I'll go one step further to say, my belief that one of the huge contributing factors why you have so many successful young people in your demographic is because, think about it, in my generation, there were a lot of things that were impossible. In other words, that one of my least favorite words, unrealistic, right? There were so many things that were impossible. And when something broke through that, like man's first step on the moon, it was kind of few and far between. It would, you didn't have too many in a decade that were wow like that. Your generation, on the other hand, has been born into a time frame of all of this kind of electronic wild growth. So things that are impossible 6 months later are all of a sudden possible, and the next 6 months, and the next 6 months, and the next 6 months. So we're going warp speed ahead in your generation. So your mind has been trained to have a different perspective on that world impossible. Your word impossible is temporary, right? So your association with that, I should say, is more temporary than the generations before you. So if you really, really, really want to make an impact on this world, it's really important that you learn that you do have the deliberate power to direct and guide and coax where your mind goes to places where you can 10x the power and the capability and your own potential. And that comes through a lot of the things that I've studied. And it's not just one, and it's definitely not just always trying to look on the bright side. It's having, again, such powerful knowing in the form of expectation and appreciation of the different aspects of your day, of your life, and having the right story, the right perspective. Those elements do take time, just like you have to study certain things in school. These things you can practice on your own, but you do need guidance. So I would love to share with you, any of you who really, really, really are determined to make an impact on this world, or are tired of that little voice that's starting to really amplify, because trust me, it just gets worse as you get older if you don't rein it in a little bit. I would love to share an hour with you. So please message me or email me at Meridith with 2 I's, Meridith at I Love My Impossible, and let me know if you'd like to participate, and I will shoot you the Zoom link. Or if you're not available and you just like a copy of that, definitely email, and I'll make sure that you get the link after the hour of time together. So I'm going to leave you with one quick little dangler, because I'm going to expand on this, but just reminding you of the power of your focus this weekend. It is huge. I'm going to suggest that you approach this weekend with your focus being as if you're on vacation. Because when you go on vacation, you spend weeks anticipating that vacation, don't you? Really talking about that vacation, looking forward to it, anticipating how much fun it's going to be. And when you get on this vacation, usually you're out there looking for things that please you. So turn this into a vacation weekend for you and focus on that. Forget about the little crazy things that annoy you, like the hairs that blow into your face and you can't find them. Focus on the things that just thrill you. Be that white dog in the side yard. Bask in the sun. Smell the grass and embrace every single human being that you can possibly find an excuse to embrace, especially yourself. So I hope that if you are a millennial, or if you know a millennial, that you will join me on Thursday, or at least get a copy of this. In the meantime, Skylar and I send you so much love, and we will keep you posted. And keep us posted too on how you're doing. We hope you're doing through the roof wonderful. All right, much of our love. Bye.